Hi Pisces, thanks for tuning in and welcome to your October reading. My name is Linda. I've already shuffled the cards and thrown down your spread for you. This is where you are now, the challenge you face, the resources you can use. This is the hidden forces, the potential outcome. You have 4 major arcana cards here. And then from the runes, we're going to take one to give a little more insight into what is the spiritual lesson in your experience right now. Okay. So a lot of major arcana energy here, which would indicate that there is a pretty major transition, or there's a lot of energy happening for you on a really personal level, like on a fundamental kind of personal development, spiritual development. There could be something really big shifting and changing here for you that is kind of even potentially altering the course of your life for some in the actual physical world, in the mundane world. But for some of you, this is more about some kind of interpersonal or transpersonal development that's occurring here that is really changing your fundamental, basic way of being in the world, and it's for the better. It's definitely a change here that where I would say there's some fundamental belief systems, because you have the Hierophant coming out here as the first position in reverse. Something about some fundamental belief systems that you may have held true for a very long time, you're now able to let go of, and it's able to, in doing so, it's helping you to be able to move forward into a new part of your life where everything's just going to be different because you've been able to let go of something that you've maybe held on to a little bit too dogmatically for too long in your life, and it may have felt very limiting or restrictive. For some of you, that could be even like, because the Hierophant card itself can actually represent religion or religious institutions or some kind of conventional institutions that has very long history of rules and regulations and structures that are very institutionalized or very ingrained in a cultural way. So because you have it in the reverse in the first position of your reading, alongside this 4 of Cups, which is acting as your challenging energy, that kind of says to me that you are moving on from something that maybe has been a very strong part of your life. If it's not religion itself, like maybe if you were brought up in a religious household or a religious family or some kind of strong cultural identification, you might have already done a lot of interpersonal work to cultivate who you are in a really true and authentic and independent way of some kind of cultural identification. And there could be this moment where you're actually like in the space of really detaching from that very particular, maybe somewhat dogmatic and strict identification with a type of cultural experience that you are ready to move on from in order to cultivate your own identity, your own truth, your own genuine way of being in the world that isn't necessarily connected to a bunch of rules and regulations that other people have established and made up. And it's very healing. The Temperance card and the Star card are both in your reading. Both of these energies for me are really healing. It's a lot of like cleansing with the watery energy of the Temperance. The Star card in the traditional tarot also has a figure who's holding water jug. So there's a lot of this, even though the Star card actually representative of the Aquarian zodiac sign, that's the archetypal representation from the major arcana. Star is Aquarius and Temperance is actually Sagittarius, which to me doesn't entirely make sense because both of these cards are very watery depictions, but Sagittarius is a fire sign and Aquarius is an air sign, but I digress. The point is for me that these 2 cards very much represent a cleansing and a purification, a healing, a release, a letting go. And for some, and quite often the energies that they represent are kind of helping to shift, again, very old things that we've held long to be true that have identified, that we maybe have identified with and kind of even maybe cultivated our own personal definition around or based on. And that can be incredibly powerful to heal and release those kinds of things, because those sorts of identifying events or cultural things can be incredibly limiting and restrictive for people who are interested in this kind of evolutionary path that you must be on if you're watching this kind of content online. So yeah, I feel like I've covered that top line there. Let me see what else the Temperance says. Okay, Temperance is in the position of the resources you can use. So if what I described there is relevant to you and you're kind of understanding that, you're relating to that, but you may not have completely got there, the message of the Temperance card is about healing, yes, but it's also about forgiveness and acceptance. So for some of you, if you're watching this and you feel like, yeah, you grew up in some kind of culturally dogmatic environment and you do want to detach from that and you want to let go, but you might still feel angry. You might feel resentment or anger or pain or a grudge or some kind of feeling or energy that is still connecting you emotionally to the past, because you might feel some type of way about having been brought up like that and wishing that things were different so that you could have a more liberated state of mind or be a much more free individual. But the message of the Temperance card is about acceptance and about forgiveness and love. You see the triangle over the heart, and then there's like the circle over the third eye. It's a very angelic energy, and it's definitely one about compassion, understanding, and acceptance. It doesn't mean, I mean, some people get very triggered by that idea of forgiveness, especially if they've been traumatized or abused or hurt by someone or something. That doesn't mean that the person that abused you or traumatized you is off the hook. They did what they did. They're going to have to work that out in their own life. But for you, if you've been on the receiving end of that and you're trying to heal from it and move forward, forgiveness and acceptance is for you. It's not about the person getting off the hook. It's not about denying that it ever happened. It's not about pretending that it was beneficial for you because now you're this, that, or the other. It's none of that. Temperance and acceptance is a much more neutral energy than that. It doesn't try to justify or explain anything. It just forgives. It just understands. It just accepts. And there's no mental gymnastics to get you there. Because if you have to do that, then you're probably still not fully in that space of actually being forgiving and understanding and accepting and letting go. So the Temperance card is in the position of your reading of the resources you can use. So it's kind of the guidance or the advice here for the action you should take or the action you could take that will help you work through this energy in a really graceful and profound way. Now the bottom line, again, you have two more major arcana cards. The Chariot is in here in the position of what are the hidden forces. So, and again, we have a lot of archetypal cards in your reading from the major arcana that are describing astrological signs. So the Hierophant is Taurus, Temperance is Sagittarius, the Chariot is Cancer, and the Star is Aquarius. So that may or may not be relevant to your situation. I'm just mentioning it. Now, what I'm understanding about the Chariot in your reading, in the position that it's in, is that this is simply about your journey onward. This is about you moving forward to become the person that you are truly, I don't want to say meant to be. This is just about you, your self-discovery, your personal healing journey, your growth, your evolution, your awakening, however you want to put it, towards becoming more whole and more authentically yourself. And, often that has as much to do with about what we figure out we like to do as it is about figuring out what things we need to let go of, what things we've become identified with that are actually other people's concepts and belief systems, or other people's actions and behaviors that have impacted us in a very deep and profound way on a subconscious level that form the way we believe things and the way we think about life and what we understand and accept to be true. A lot of times our healing and our development forward has to do with actually letting go of a lot of those kinds of concepts and ideas that we've been formulated with or that we've been programmed with at an early age when we were very influential by people whose job it was to teach us and protect us. And this is not about laying blame as well. It's not about villainizing people that were part of our life experience that helped us come to this point. They also have their own healing journey to go on, and they also have their own, processes to go through. This is about just you realizing that maybe that those things serve their point serve themselves to a point, and now you're ready to let go and move on from that and adopt new concepts, new ideas that you actually have formed as a result of your own personal experience. And now you're ready to let go of some old stuff that had been shared with you or passed on to you by other people who lived in a different era. You know, like, life is moving so fast. Maybe things that we were taught when, 20, 30 years ago when we were younger were more relevant at that time, but now we're in a completely different time and space of the human experience, and different things are going to be relevant contextually. So it's okay to move on from things. It's okay to let go of the past. It's okay to be constantly evolving and changing and growing and moving towards the direction of your ultimate true self, let's say. And again, the star is here in the position of your potential outcome. So again, teaming it up with the Temperance card, they very much belong together. There's a strong angelic presence in your reading, one that feels like it's got a very protective energy and that you're being guided, that you are... there's something very strong in your reading as well about feeling like you have made a very dedicated, devotional kind of commitment to yourself and to your journey. And with that comes along this very strong kind of angelic presence or energy from the unseen world of like your higher self, your guides, angels, ancestors, whatever language you like to use to describe that. That is working very closely with you because you have been so committed and dedicated. And so there's a really strong hand of protection and feeling like you're being guided and being watched over and supported and helped through your process. Now let's take a look at this rune. This rune represents the spiritual lesson in your experience at the moment. So let's see. I'm going to open my notes and read up what it says. Okay, so this rune is called Turisas, and it says here, reactive force, directed force of destruction and defense, conflict, instinctual will, eroticism, regenerative catalyst, a tendency towards change, catharsis, purging, cleansing fire. Yep. So here there's definitely something strong here about moving on from something, a change in your perspective, catharsis, purging, cleansing. That's what I was getting here with this too. So yeah, keep moving forward, Pisces. Keep doing what you're doing because this feels like a really good energy for you, very powerful energy of shifting and moving forward. It might not necessarily be easy, especially for some of you. If there could be for some people here like a break from family ties, or especially if you are in a space where, because sometimes the Hierophant can come through, especially if it's in reverse, as a very rebellious energy. And that could sometimes put you at odds with family members who want to maintain their position of being the authority or being the ones that have taught you what you know now, and they want to kind of continue to see you move forward with whatever, tradition or cultural norms that they have instilled on you. So there could be some kind of butting heads with family with the Hierophant in reverse. But do what you need to do. Maybe for some of you, you might need to take space and just do your own thing for a while, just have a little distance from the family. That's never bad. I don't think that's bad, personally. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing. This is a really good reading for you, Pisces. I feel really pleased to see these cards come out, and I'm happy for you to have this breakthrough because it does feel like a pretty substantial breakthrough here that will help elevate you and catalyze you forward into a new part of your life where you seem to feel free from a lot of old dogmatic baggage that you might have been carrying up until this point in your life. So thank you so much for watching, Pisces. It's been an honor and a pleasure to read for you. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next reading. Bye for now.